The dumbest rich purchases ever. Number 1. Nicolas Cage and the Dinosaur Skull. Is Nicolas Cage a bad actor? This is an age-old question that not even science can seem to answer. Known for National Treasure, Lord of War, and Con Air, his purchasing decisions are just as strange and eccentric as his role choices. In March 2007 at the Beverly Hills Gallery I Am Shade, Nicolas Cage outbid fellow actor Leonardo DiCaprio for one Tyrannosaurus skull, paying out over $276,000. For 7 years, Nicolas kept it in his collection largely undisturbed, but eventually the law came knocking in 2014.
Mr. Cage, we're here for the skull. Oh, I knew this day would come. Follow me. All right, we'll take it from here. Take it out, boys. The Mongolians are gonna be very, very happy. So, do I get my money back? Unfortunately not, Mr. Cage. Oh. Do you have a movie deal for me? What? No. Please, I promise I'll be good. That's enough, Mr. Cage.
Nicolas gave up the skull without a fight after learning that it had been stolen from Mongolia, and he never got his money back. This incident, including his purchase at 2 castles in Europe, sparked his own quest for the Holy Grail. Maybe one day he'll purchase the real deal for himself, probably at an auction too. Number 2. The Warwolf. King Edward I, better known as Edward Longshanks, had a bit of a problem in April of 1304. The Scots, being Scots, were rebelling in the Wars of Scottish Independence. To make matters worse, the stubborn Scottish defense at Stirling Castle had turned his fearsome siege into a tiresome slog.
This is taking forever. Come on, fellas, let's speed it up. Dairy Girls is on. But, sire, the Scottish are putting up a hell of a fight. Our weapons can't possibly penetrate their walls. We just need something bigger. Like a battering ram, sire? No, bigger. Like your mother? No, even bigger. Also, hey, take that back.
Edward then commissioned a massive trebuchet known as the Warwolf. This massive siege engine cost him £40 sterling, and today, this would have been $70,000. Designed by his trusted engineer, James of St. George, the Warwolf took 50 master carpenters and several other laborers to assemble it. When disassembled, it could fill over 30 wagons. At the sight of this massive weapon straight from the bowels of hell, the Scottish soldiers at Stirling Castle surrendered.
Those dirty Scots won't know what hit them. Sorry, I'm gonna have to pull a France here. We surrender. What? Yeah, I mean, that time looks pretty damn scary.
And I don't feel so good. I think I have a stomachache.
Aye, and we saw what happened to William Wallace. I don't want a historically inaccurate movie made about me. No! I'm going to use this thing if it's the last thing I do. Hey, man, could you guys maybe pretend to be invaded? Little Eddie is going to be a pain in the neck otherwise. Fine. Yay, yay, yay! Fire! Yeah, I'm good. All right, lads, let's pull out. So, same time next week? Aye, same time next week.
The Warwolf was eventually dismantled and never used again, but to Edward I, those 10 seconds of crumbling walls were very worth it. Number 3. The Marbel Boat. What would you do if you were the Emperor of China? Would you wage war, smoke some opium, or maybe buy a boat? Buying a yacht is on the list of many aspiring millionaires and billionaires, but for Empress Dowager Cixi, she was dead set on making it a reality. In 1755, the Qianlong Emperor erected an elaborate wooden pavilion on a stone base in his summer palace. In 1860, during the Second Opium War, it was burned down. However, in 1893, the Empress Dowager Cixi commissioned a restoration. It was expanded to a two-story structure that featured distinct European designs. It was made out of fine wood but painted to look like marble. On each deck, there is a large mirror that reflects the water underneath it, giving an immersive aquatic experience. On each side of the boat, there are paddle wheels to make it look like a paddle steamer, even though it is completely stationary. Ironically, the funds and resources used to construct this gigantic ornament were diverted from an actual shipbuilding program.
So, it is agreed then. Tomato is a fruit. Any objections? No, Mom. None at all. You are absolutely correct. All right. What's next on the agenda? Well, it looks like we have a budget review. We need to allocate some resources to rebuild our fleet of ships and possibly regain some stability on the waters. I have a better idea. Oh, what's that, Your Imperial Majesty? I'm going to build a boat. That seems like a great idea. Whatever it is, it shall surely cause our enemies to tremble. A boat in the middle of that pond. Oh. Also, it's not going to move. Oh. And we're going to make the Navy pay for it. This is why I wanted to go to art school.
Prince Chun, whom Dowager Cixi earlier appointed to oversee the reconstruction of the Imperial Navy, likely felt that he had no choice but to let her do as she pleased. Not only was the Marbel Boat not made out of marble, it wasn't even a real boat, the two things it's supposedly named after. Number 4. Schwerer, Gustav, and Dora. There were a lot of things going on right before the onset of World War II. The British were appeasing, the French were Frenching, and the Russians were culling. Germany, still recovering from the harsh sanctions of the Treaty of Versailles, was trying to figure out if this or that could be used as a weapon.
Okay, everyone settle down. We are here to figure out things that can be used as weapons for the army. Alright, let's see what you got. A shotgun, huh? Simple, but effective. Alright, who's next? Not exactly practical now, but I'll give you points for patriotism. And this is a... bomb? Hans, where did you even get this?
Kaboom.
Kaboom?
The German Army High Command commissioned artillery pieces that could destroy the French Maginot Line, which at the time were thought to be impenetrable. In 1939, Alfred Krupp personally hosted Adolf Hitler at the Ruggenwald Proving Ground to show off the gun's capabilities.
Mein Gott, the gun is big, massive. It's just what we need. How does it work? Well, it takes 250 men and 3 days to assemble the gun, another 2,500 to lay the necessary track in the embankments, and another 2 flak battalions to protect it. It requires several special lines of rails, several more thousand men to actually move the gun into position, and 500 more men are needed to operate the gun to fire it. Oh, and also, it takes an hour to reload. That seems very cumbersome. I feel like we can just go around the Maginot Line. Okay, but watch this. I'll take 4.
In Krupp Company fashion, they did not charge anything for the Schwerer Gustav, but they charged 7 million Reichsmarks, approximately $24 million, for the Dora. Following several more rounds of testing, the Schwerer Gustav was ready for its first real mission, the Siege of Sevastopol. After the arduous task of bringing the gun into position and 5 more weeks of actually setting it up, the Schwerer Gustav was ready for action. In this instance, the railgun was actually moderately successful, taking out several forts and key installations. It had fired 47 rounds, which wore out its original barrel, which had to be replaced, but it had done its task. Sevastopol lay in ruins.
We won. Now what? Now we pack it up.
The Schwerer Gustav was then packed up and set to join the attack on Leningrad. When the attack was canceled, the gun was simply left to be. In 1945, before it could be captured by U.S. troops, the Germans destroyed the Schwerer Gustav. Its sister gun, the Dora, was destroyed not long after. Number 5. Elon Musk and Twitter. Opinions on Elon Musk are somewhat split. While many consider him a brilliant innovator, inventor, and businessman, many scoff and find fault in his eccentricities and behavior. No matter what you think of him, one can't deny that his boatloads of money pretty much lets him do whatever he wants. On April 14, 2022, Musk offered $44 billion for Twitter. He tried to back out, but after a little pressure from the law, Musk eventually closed the deal and completed his acquisition on October 28, 2022. Musk turned Twitter into X, merged it into his X Corp, and removed most of its bird-sounding identifiers.
Change it to X.
Are you sure, sir?
Yeah, it looks cool, doesn't it? There's the X-Men, the X-Files, X-Factor. Extra fries? No, we're not doing a thing here.
I mean, yeah, but Twitter already has a pretty strong brand recognition, sir. Tweet is in the dictionary, too.
Yeah, and also, it might not be a good idea. If you don't, I'll fire both of you.
Fine.
Under Musk, X underwent a series of upheavals. Half of its workforce was fired as cost-cutting measures, though many of them were asked to come back when the company realized they were important. Musk's main goal with X was to make it a place where everyone could say whatever they wanted without fear of being censored. Before buying the company, he criticized the platform for having a liberal bias, restricting others from freely speaking their mind. Consequently, X still boasts roughly 570 million monthly users. In October 2024, Fidelity, a financial services company, reported that X had lost about 80% of its value to about $9 billion, far below what Musk originally paid for the company. A large part of this was a loss of advertisers and mounting operating costs. Was this purchase worth it, or did Musk simply achieve what he set out to do? It's up to you. Number 6. Domus Aurea, the Golden House. Emperor Nero, patron of the arts. To historians, he famously introduced several sports into the Olympics, including lyre playing, just so he could win. To video gamers, they know him as the guy who Dante called dead weight. To weebs, Nero is a cute anime girl bad at singing. Shortly after the Great Fire of Rome in 64 AD, which ravaged several hundred houses in the city, Nero commissioned the construction of the Domus Aurea, the Golden House, while the ashes were still warm. It was one of the most extreme and insensitive displays of wealth and engineering at the time. It featured gardens, fountains, and large rooms all adorned with gold, silver, and ivory. This massive palace, designed by architect Severus, covered over 200 acres and was finished within just a few years. It additionally boasted countless frescoes and mosaics, a giant 30-meter Colossus statue of Nero fashioned as a sun god, and even a rotating dance floor.
Yes, this is what I've longed for. A beautiful house with all of life's pleasures.
Sir, I don't think this might be the best time for this.
Not now, Sporus. Can't you see I'm busy?
But, sir...
I said not now. Oh, it's coming. Are you ready up there?
Yes, sir.
Here we go. It's fun to stay at the YMCA.
The construction costs, as you might imagine, were not cheap. It required massive amounts of resources, including labor and materials. It introduced an influx of jobs for a time, but it was ultimately a huge financial drain on the Roman treasury. To finance it, Nero implemented harsher taxation policies, causing great resentment among the Roman people. They likely saw the shining gold palace, looked at their crumbling stone houses, and thought that this was probably not fair. When Nero died 4 years later in 68 AD, the Domus Aurea was stripped by his successors, and the rest of the palace was buried. Nero's Colossus survived for a time before being moved by Emperor Hadrian next to the Colosseum. Today, only the base survives, an unimpressive end for what might have been one of the grandest displays of wealth of all time.